Firstly, the brain sends a signal in which it travels through motor neurons to reach the neuromuscular junction. The acetylcholine neurotransmitter is released from the neuron to the muscle, transferring the action potential into the muscle. The action potential travels to the sarcoplasmic reticulum by the T-tubules and allow for calcium channels in the sarcoplasmic reticulum to release calcium ions into the muscle. Now zooming in, the calcium ions bind onto the troponin, which allow for the troponin and tropomyosin to pull itself away from the actin, exposing the active sites on the actin, where myosin heads bind to. Now with the active sites exposed, myosin heads that have ADP and a phosphate that was broken down from ATP and holds onto the energy produced. With the energy obtained from the breakdown of ATP, the myosin uses all of the energy to bind to the site on the actin and pulls on the actin, resulting in the whole sarcomere to shrink and contracts the muscle. Since the myosin spent all of the energy, the myosin heads unbind with the ADP and phosphate, and a new ATP binds to the myosin, causing the myosin to unbind from the actin. The myosin breaks down the new ATP into ADP and a phosphate and stores the energy obtained for the next binding. The calcium pumps are working to restock the calcium in the sarcoplasmic reticulum, which makes the calcium pumps take the calcium floating around, causing the calcium to unbind with the troponin, resulting in the troponin and tropomyosin to fall back into its original state and block the site of the actin, where the myosin cannot bind, relaxing the muscle. Calcium is involved in the function of the muscle because it allows the troponin and tropomyosin to either block or unblock the binding sites of actin, depending on whether or not there is a supply of calcium. ATP is involved in the function of the muscle because ATP is broken down and can be used as energy, so the myosin can use it to bind, unbind, and prepare to bind again with the active sites on the actin. When you want to move, the nerve connection signal occurs. The brain sends a signal to your muscles to contract. The signal, or action potential, moves through motor neurons by traveling through each neuron and jumping to the next neuron with neurotransmitters as synapses to transfer the signal from a neuron to neuron until it gets to a neuromuscular junction, which is a chemical synapse between a motor neuron and muscle fiber. The motor neuron releases a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine to transfer its action potential to the muscle and allows the muscles to perform a contraction. Although this is what normally occurs, the signal can go wrong in the carpal tunnel due to a pinched nerve, which disrupts the nerve's function, making a sent action potential from the central nervous system harder to travel through the pinched nerve and get to the target, which weakens the nerve and inhibits the signal to get across. When a person dies, rigor mortis occurs. Cellular respiration stops, which brings a halt of the production of ATP. ATP supply is depleted, but ATP is required for the regulation of calcium pumps, which takes calcium ions from the sarcoplasmic reticulum to the sarcomere. Without the ATP, the pumps will not be working, so the calcium ions will be freely flowing in the sarcoplasm, diffusing quickly and binding to the troponin, causing the tropomyosin to expose binding sites on the actin and cause myosin heads to bind, forming cross bridges and contracting. But since there is no ATP to break the cross bridge, the muscle will continue to be contracted until organic enzymatic processes eventually decompose the muscle. Thanks for watching!